greet the Reaper for me?
You're not trying to escape, are you?
Almost got me that time.
Almost got me that time.
Prepare yourself.
You're not trying to escape, are
I'll yield to none.
Greet the Reaper for me.
I'm ready.
Glory is mine.
Ha! Nice try.
Meet your maker.
Greet the Reaper for me.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead I became part of their story.
So it wasn't a dream after all.
What a well of knowledge this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me.
I don't even remember them strapping me down.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
Not a very chatty fellow, are you? I don't even remember them strapping me down. I don't even remember them strapping me down.
Ah, you're up. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash.
I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Dungeon? You have the gall to call my laboratory a dungeon? Oh, I'd be quite annoyed with you, if you didn't look so honestly perplexed.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
This is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
Oh my, these smelling salts are strong stuff.
Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away. It seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow. That can't be natural. For who? No marks, no indications of a struggle.
Good gods, there's been a murder here.
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass. Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them.
No lesions.
Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. You surprised? You're one of them. You know what sorcerers are capable of? Whoever did this found a way around their collar and killed a man. Small ones this time, thank the gods. We'll find out who did it, one way or another. Nothing to see here.
The pale young woman doesn't acknowledge you. She nods to the right without moving her gaze from the ground.
No indications of a struggle. Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous. So, anything interesting for me? Right, tick-tock. But who?
The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
Come on, please, Losa.
That's enough now.
It was one of them. I know it. They don't care about us, and we're like cattle to them. I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on. One of us in our own. Get us off one by one. Just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up. You think me mad? Mad? Insufferable, surely. What are you trying to hear anyway? I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Sing us a song, I know you can.
That's enough now.
Come on, please, Losa.
That's enough now.
It was one of them. I know it. You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate. They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them. One of us. Insufferable, surely. What are you trying to hear anyway? I'll tell you if
Ah, there you are. Husband. would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
Gods, didn't your mother teach you any manners?
She got eaten by a void woken.
Forget it.
How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You'd presume right. Nope. Trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
Insufferable.
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la. You're a human, like me. That means we're friends already. My mum told me not to make friends with lizards and elves and dwarves and stuff. But I think they're okay. Why won't you sing? Be careful. Someone died here. A magic person, like us. Be careful.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home. Hi. Do you like to play ball? We like to play ball.
Are all I was given. Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with it. Name?
There has been a murder, Your Majesty.
The Divine Order wants to know. Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy, we're trying to catch a killer here.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
You one of them? A Divine Order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake. I didn't do nothing, okay? It was one of them. One of your people. Human. I didn't do nothing, okay?
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that? I've never dined on anything less than a dozen course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty.
The ship, of course. Don't you get saucy with
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
How dare you classify...
That isn't anger. It's...
I've seen more appetizing things...
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close.
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
There now, just like that.
Murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing
Aha!
about...
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
No, you beautiful idiot. That wasn't any rat. It was the wheel. Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
No indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
Gods, didn't your mother teach you any manners?
She got eaten by a void woken.
Forget it.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you anymore.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming
If
out
you'll
of
be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to...
Well, what have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size...
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
Skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad? Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you...
I'm inspecting your teeth, in case that wasn't spectacularly obvious. There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom. Well, that just about settles it. I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, we've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over the side of this ship.
You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. Rein in your impertinence, will you? I'm a fair man, but I won't spare the rod. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Well, you've got this
Who
wolf
we
on a
are,
leash.
what we've done, they mean less than nothing as long as these collars choke us.
Right over the side of this
When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Until then, go stand...
It was one of them. I know it. Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip...
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
Ah, yes. The niceties. My name is Fane. I am a scholar from... Well, I am a seeker of knowledge. That is enough. It is pleasurable to meet you. Hardly. I've been reading this one for several minutes, and I have yet to find a single insight into the mysteries of the universe. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest in that. Your books are too full of it already. No. I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
The elf's face freezes for just a second before he waves his hand dismissively.
Oh, it's just one of my idle curiosities. We mortals do like to consider these things, do we not? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
Turnips and water are all I...
Here to register, sir. Good, good. On with the last passenger. You faring okay so far?
There has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more...
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
Sorry you're upset, sir. But we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice. Deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She smiles contemptuously.
Just a kitten in a corner, aren't we?
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy fan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You! What's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name.
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
I'll find out. I always do. Now away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Keep those bubbles trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul, and I strongly suspect you know all about it.
Do you? Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
Till overboiling a bit of cabbage becomes a crime, I shall hold my head steady.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse. Dark, greyish-black clouds swirl through them. She doesn't stir. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still. You can't see if he's living or dead. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but only just. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor.
What? What happened? Must have been the turnips. You dare strike a royal? Ooh.
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness. Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering as if in a nightmare. A low whine escapes. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register your presence at all.
Lucien. Lucien.
Ifan cries out. Then his eyes fall closed again. No matter...
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
It's no use. Your words do not seem...
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.